bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by air.
In the aftermath of the attack on Pearl Harbor, misguided distrust of Americans of Japanese descent led to nearly all Japanese Americans being discharged from the U.S. Army, with many placed in internment detention camps along with their families. In 1943, the U.S. government needed personnel and called for volunteers to serve in an all-Japanese American fighting unit. Lingering distrust and prejudice barred the 442nd from fighting in the Pacific Theater, so instead the regiment's soldiers shipped off to Europe and saw their first action in Italy in May 1944. For the remainder of the war, the 442nd distinguished themselves as tenacious and fearless fighters, but threw themselves headlong into combat and proved their worth time and time again in numerous battles throughout the European theater, embodying their motto of "Go for Broke."
Distinguished guests, on behalf of the Japanese government, I'd like to express my sincere condolences to the Sakato family for the loss of your beloved. By all accounts, Mr. Sakato was known for his humble and modest good character.
High ground is an elevated terrain which can be useful in combat. The military importance of high ground has been recognized for over 2,000 years. In Sun Tzu's The Art of War, military leaders are advised to take high ground and let the enemy try to attack from a lower position. Fighting from an elevated position is easier for several reasons. Holding high ground offers an elevated advantage point of view with a wide field of view, enabling surveillance of the surrounding landscape, in contrast to valleys offering limited field of view. Soldiers fighting uphill tire more quickly and move more slowly, while soldiers fighting downhill tire less quickly and move much more faster. Soldiers elevated above their enemies get greater range out of low-speed projectiles like rocks, javelins, and grenades. Likewise, low-speed projectiles will have less range when thrown uphill. History testifies in more ways than one that George Sakato fought uphill battles. Describe the infuriating emotion of just having had a close friend, Saburo, die in his arms, unable despite his best efforts to save his life during the battle. The rest is history.
What I would say about Joe Sakato is he's the genuine Joe. Absolutely. So as you described it, that's how I know Joe Sakato. Genuine, humble, and just an amazing, amazing man. And when Andy asked him that question, it was very interesting to watch him reflect and to think about it. And when he did say the road rage, we all were kind of taken aback. But that was Joe Sakato. And that was his story. As the Adjutant General, you end up participating in numerous events. And Leslie, I have to say thank you so much for your devotion to your dad.
I was asked to say a couple words. I called some of the recipients and for some reflection on how they would remember Joe. And after some thought, they said, you know, he was just a good man, a nice man. And when you think about it, with the 77 Medal of Honor recipients and the kind of guys they are, to have that kind of reflection means a lot, because I would like to be considered a nice person, a good person in the eyes of fellow recipients. You know, whether you live to be 18 or 94, I think the success of your life is judged on those that you leave behind and those that remember you when you go.
And many people are going to be following in your footsteps. We dance honoring ancestors who claim our home and freedom to pursue our dream. Our horses carve a path for justice, equal rights for all. We prevail, our future harvested from generations. From my life, George Sakato, opens countless lives. The journey continues. Author Janice Meredith Tani. I think those words capture the spirit of being gathered here today. God bless you. God bless the Commonwealth.
I'm a better man today because Joe Sakato entered my life. I learned humility from a man who for a few minutes in October of 1944 was the most heroic person on the planet. I learned true patriotism from someone who watched his mother and father lose their life possessions and be forced to live on a farm in Arizona because they looked different. He could have been angry for the rest of his life, and with good reason. Instead, he used that anger to become an example of what a real American looks like.
Uncle Joe, the fun uncle. As a kid, I probably had a little dad envy. It seemed his mission was to have fun and to make sure everyone else around him had fun. He always had a sly little grin on his face and probably more than a little mischief in his blood. I also think we have different definitions of bravery. We're now all aware of his military bravery, but consider these. First, who else would dare to be in the same room with 3 girl cousins?
You know, I would come to Denver to go skiing periodically, and if I had a little bit of a layover, he would always come to the airport to come see me. And he was just a special, special guy.